you have a preference when it comes to a 9-man rotation or a 10-man rotation? Which you like better?
No, it's really irrelevant. You play what you got. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. You know, we've won a ton of games with um, 7-man rotation. We've won a ton of games with 8-man rotation. You know, it's like, uh, what do you prefer, strawberry or vanilla? They're both good. They both work.
Go to Greg Bailey with KTRK. Greg?
But thinking through it, I'd probably say less is more on that one.
Thank you. Yeah. Greg, you have a question for Coach. Go ahead, please.
I do, Kelvin. Good morning. After what looked like an outstanding performance from afar, LJ Cryer mentioned that he's still learning in your system. What does that say about where he is in his progression and where he might be doing things that don't always jump out to people from afar and don't always show up in the box score to help you win games later in the season?
Well, don't look at your feet to see if you're doing it right. Just dance. That's kind of what new guys have to go through. If you're out there on the dance floor, you're getting through your bag, see what's working today. You don't look down there at your feet to see if you're doing it right. You just dance. And I think anytime a new guy comes into our program, he has to spend X amount of time, and he should. It's called failure. A lot of people in a lot of lines of work don't know how to deal with other people's failures. But you have to understand it's part of it. So for me, it's just being patient with these new guys. But LJ's getting to the point now where he's not looking at his feet. And that's, I guess the analogy there is the sets that we're running where he should be, the angles that the screen's coming at, when he's coming off the ball on the roll, where JoJo wants at a different place, for instance, than Xavier. So he's not looking at his feet anymore. He's just dancing.
Thank you, Greg. We'll go to Randy McElvoy with KPRT. Randy, go ahead with your question for Coach.
Good morning, Kelvin. I know it's end of November. You're turning the page on this month, and you talk about just crafting your team as the season goes along. Where would you say you guys are in this early stage defensively, specifically, on what you're seeing from your team?
I'd say getting better. You're always climbing the mountain. You're never top of the mountain. The hardest thing to teach on defense is feel. A lot of times being able to correct a teammate's problem. For instance, you had a coverage call on a screen and he hits the screen, which means what I called is over. I've got to react to that. Now it's called an emergency switch. Are we there yet? The last play of the first half against Dayton, we gave up a layup that was like, how could we possibly not be in the right spot there? So we're still making a lot of mistakes. We're still climbing the mountain. I have no idea how to I think Randy, I probably get asked over 35 years certain questions 100 times over the years. Where would you say your team is now? I don't, we're getting better. That's really the most important answer. When you go to practice, you don't go to practice as a 7-0 team. I never think about that. That doesn't, we've won a lot around here. We've been 7-0 a lot. I think we were 16-0 one time. But I go to practice every day trying to figure out how can, like, I've got a couple of guys. LJ's different, but I still got some guys that are still looking at their feet, seeing if I'm doing it right. We're still there with a lot of guys. JoJo Tugler was at Cy Falls High School last night. Don't get him confused with Fabian White. Fabian White's last year, he's the all-time leading winner. He plays the same position, but he's not the same guy. He's a long, long way away from being a guy. He just has the ability to be as good as any of them. But he's 18 years old. Fabian was almost 23. So we're dealing with that, his youth. But he needs to play. Can you imagine bringing somebody else in and not playing JoJo this year? Look at all the mistakes he's making right now. They're good for him. And we tell him it's okay to make those mistakes. And we support it with edits and film and position work. Our guys do such an awesome job with that from the teaching standpoint. But that all starts with player relationships. We have such a great relationship with our kids, and there's such a mutual trust between the players and the coaches that we're able to, get them to do things over time. It just takes some guys longer than others. We're all God's children. He just made us all different. He made us all learn at a different pace. They all don't learn at the same pace. They're all not going to get it on the same day that somebody else gets it. I don't want to wear that analogy out, but whether it's offense or defense, we still got a bunch of guys looking at their feet. Now, when they start dancing, we're going to be pretty good.
Thank you, Randy. We'll go back to Chris Gardner for another question. Chris, go ahead, please, sir.
Coach, what does Xavier do well when you scouting them?
Well, they got a pro. When I say it's a pro, it's different from you saying it's a pro. You saying it's a pro is just a random opinion. When I say it, I coached the NBA for 6 years, so I know what they really look like. The Claude kid he's really good. He's one of the better wings we've seen in here in 5 years. He's got it. There's some kids you say he's got a chance to be pretty good. Well, he is. He's got it. He's got great size. He's 6'6", over 200 pounds. Gets to the rim, shoots a lot of free throws, can make threes, got a great in-between game. And he's got a great coach who knows how to use him too. Sean, I've known Sean for decades, seems like. And Sean does such a great job with his kids and putting them in the right place. But starts with him. Their backcourt, they've got two portal kids, and the McKnight kid who we played against at Western Kentucky. He played on that team with Bassey. He's really good, fast, left-handed, athletic. And then the Olivari kid who we played against when Rice came over here a few years ago. Again, when you played against them a few years ago, that means they're older, right? I think he's a grad transfer. They're both grad transfers, so they're both in their 5th year, so they're experienced, they're older, been there, done that. One's a true point guard, the other one's a sniper. He made 94 threes last year at Rice, and it comes from a great system over there at Rice for offensive players, and those guys. Then they've got good size up front. The Mietska kid, Gritus, number 50. That's what I call him. Number 50's a pick and pop 4. There are 5 guys. They've got 2 6'10" guys that are really aggressive, play hard. They've got freshman off the bench, Trey Green, another freshman off the bench, and Dalen Swain, a lot like JoJo. Really, really young, talented guys are going to be really good. So Xavier's very talented, good team, well coached. That'll be a tough game for us.
We'll go to we will go to JD next for his question. Go ahead, JD, with your question.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning.
Kelvin, the time between games here, health wise, are you guys in good shape? Has it allowed you to, sort of get some guys or early season type stuff?
Yeah, we had a couple banged up yesterday in practice, but we're healthy. We have nobody. I don't know about practice today who's going to be in or out, but I I think everybody's going to be ready to go. Knock on wood. We don't. Well, let me rephrase that. Everybody will be ready to go for practice today, I would assume.
The minutes early on in the season, just because of what you have this year, and you have a lot of guys that are seeing some time, has that allowed you to pull back some guys like Jamal, maybe some of the regulars, or is that not really influence how you've handled minute distribution early on?
You talking about in games?
Yeah, for games.
Oh, for sure it has, and that's part of the plan. But I know how plans are. It's like Mike Tyson said: as soon as you get hit in the nose, the plans go out the window. If we get in the second half, we're down 10. There ain't no plan. You play your best player. So I don't lock myself into anybody's opinion on how my guys should be playing. If we're ahead, I'll play this way. If we're behind, I'll play this way. That's my plan.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go to Manav Gupta from the Cougar. Manav, go ahead, please, sir.
Good morning, Coach. Just was curious if there's anything particular that you think the team that should focus on, or what's going to be key versus Xavier?
I think in the big picture, probably the first 6 or 7 minutes. Anytime you have a great program, great history, that very rarely ever loses a home game. That you're playing them after that. I know what our practices would be like if we had lost a home game. That probably we shouldn't have lost. I know what our practice would look like, and I know what kind of response I get from my kids. And that's what we'll be going into. Watch Xavier is just the history of that program is just. I started with Skip Prosser, who was a really good friend of mine too, by the way. Skip and Thad Mata, all those guys. I think this is Sean's second stop. Well, I know it is, but there's a lot of pride in that program. They're not used to losing, especially at home, and their home court is a huge home court advantage for them. So we're going to have to handle that first. And then after that, it's just a matter of us traveling with it's just our first road game for these guys playing for us. We're not, a lot of times when a team has sustained success over a long period of time, like our program, you tend to think they're all the same, but they're not. Every team goes through growing pains. It's November. Actually, this game's December 1st. But sometimes it gets late early in November, and it gets early late in December. But regardless of, I don't even know what I just said, but this December game is moving into a period where you're starting to bring your team together. But we played 3 games in Charleston against 3 different kind of opponents. But this will be a different animal because it's a true road game. We all have when's your first true road game? Most teams haven't played a road game. A lot of teams have played neutral site games, but they haven't played on the road yet. So it'll be interesting to see how JoJo. I've never seen him play on the road. I've never seen LJ play on the road. Never seen Damian. All our guys are in different roles. And I've got a pretty good idea what to expect from J1. I've got a pretty good idea what to expect from Jamal. But these other guys, I'm interested to see. And this will be good for us in a lot of ways. So playing a great opponent, tremendous program as far as winning, great coaching staff. So this is the kind of challenge you want. When we got into the Big 12, they actually had two challenges, a Big East challenge and an SEC challenge. I can't remember what happened to the SEC challenge. I don't know what happened there, but they kept the Big East, and I'm glad they sent us on the road. These are all good games. Win or lose, whether you win or lose these games is what it is, but it's good for you because you're going to have these kind of games when you get to conference play.
Thank you, Manav. Time for a couple more questions. We'll go back to Greg Bailey with KTRK. Greg, go ahead, please. Greg, are you there? We can't hear you. Sorry. Greg? Okay. Let me try with Starnes Leland from the Cougars. Starnes, go ahead with your question for Coach Sampson.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Starnes.
Outside of basketball, the volleyball team is about to enter the tournament. And I think back in October, after the Texas game, David Rare spoke about how, you've supported the team and talked to him a lot over the years. Can you just talk about your relationship with him and just your respect for the program?
Yeah. Actually, I was just texting with him. These days start to go by fast for me. What is today? Wednesday. So their sites came out. Their selection show came out, I think, Sunday. So I was actually following that because I wanted to see where they would be seated and where they would be sent. So when I saw that they would be sent out to Palo Alto, I thought that was a good draw for them. And I was texting David. I think it was before the Texas game. That was a fun volleyball match, wasn't it? Against Texas. This shows you what you can do. But I've talked to his girls 2 or 3 times. He just knows how to run a program. He's a really good coach. He's got a great staff. I love his girls. They love him. It's what it should look like. I'm really proud of our volleyball program, and who can ever forget the topple over I think it was a table at the end of the extended off the court last year. It's just exciting. But David is a program builder. He has a tremendous relationship with his girls. He's got a great way about him where the girls trust him. So just happy for him and being able to sustain it. I think it's not the hardest thing in college athletics isn't to win. It's to win consistently. Just do it year after year after year. That's the hard part because you're always losing a recruiting class every year. And what he's been able to do from last year to this year says volumes about him and his program.
Thank you, Starnes. I'm going to try one more time with Greg here. Greg, do you have a question? Can you hear us? Do you have a question for Coach? No problem. One or two more questions. We'll go to Chris Gardner from Houston Round Ball Review. Chris, go ahead, please.
Coach, I missed this, I think, a couple weeks ago, but what are your thoughts on Mercy Miller and Chase McCarty joining the program?
Well, you want me to send it to you, Chris? I mean, I can send you what I said about him. Hadn't changed. Mercy is a 6'4". He's a big, strong guard. First time I saw Mercy, I think he was about 6'1", and I think he's 16 years old. But his body's really filled out. He's a very good offensive player. He's like most high school kids. He can't guard the back door with a cannon, but he can really score, can really shoot. He's got good size, good guard skills. Chase is prototypical big wing, 6'6", 6'6.5", barrel-chested, long arms, outstanding shooter. He and Mercy both are really high-level three-point shooters. That's what they're really good at. Chase is a really good rebounder. Mercy's at Notre Dame Prep in Southern California, and Chase is at IMG Academy in Florida. where we went and got Jair's from. But they're both will have good years because they're going to play the best high school teams in the country. You know, they'll play Link Academy. They'll play the school out of Arizona, Mount Bird, all those guys. So I think they'll continue to get better. You know, looking forward to both of them getting here in June so they can jump in and start learning how to be Cougar basketball players. But they both certainly have the ability, Chris, to come in here and be good players in time.
Thank you, Chris. Final question of the day. We'll go back to Joseph Duarte, please. Joseph, please go ahead.
Kelvin, going back to what he asked you about David Rare, since you've been here, you've made it a point when asked or you volunteered to go talk to some of the different teams on campus. You've also been places that you know the importance of other sports, and namely men's basketball, football. With the search going on for a football coach now here at U of H, how important is that that dynamic to not only have winning programs like that, but those two specifically, your program and like football, those are the lifebloods sometimes of athletic departments in terms of the high profile. Is that, how big is that in terms of what you get out of those programs like yourself and football?
Yeah. David, and the teams that I probably spent the most time with is baseball, swimming, women's volleyball. I spent a lot of time with Leroy Burrell too. I love Leroy Burrell. I love that man. But anytime, the thing I tell candidates when they're interviewing for jobs, there's nothing that's going to force you to take a more intense inventory of your life and what's really important to you and your family than when somebody offers you a job and you have to take your kids out of school, away from their friends, your wife out of her comfort zone, and sell that house that you may have raised your kids in and built and designed. And it has so many memories that it's just, there's a sentimental aspect of selling the house. Trust me, I know. And then you have to decide whether you want to go live there. Now, once you decide you want to go live there, you want to make sure all the dots are filled. But they all can't be connected. There's not always the dots. At some point, you're going to have to connect the dots yourself. There's no such thing as a perfect job. There's no such thing as perfect administrators. During the process, they tell you everything you want to hear, then you have to figure out, which of it is BS and which of it you think you can fix yourself. Well, over time, I got good at that stuff. I heard everything that was said. I didn't listen to all of it, but I heard it. And most of the guys that interview for jobs, especially the older ones, are good at that. They all make you make you feel like you're Tarzan. And you're not. Your warts, where your failures are, the areas that you need to improve yourself. God knows I've made more mistakes and still have so much to learn that I feel like I need to go to a classroom every day just so I can get better at something. But coming to a school like University of Houston, I just love how much better we've gotten since we've been here. I've talked enough about the way it was. I'm done with that stuff. That's been documented. If you want to know how I feel about that, just hit rewind on your little machines there, and you'll hear it. And everything I said was true, by the way. But let's look at what we've done better. Let's focus on the positive. Look at the buildings that have been built. Look at the success that we've had, that David Rare's had over time. And look at the potential. Every program here has the potential. But where we've got to get better, they got to be better resourced. They've got to be better supported. They've all got to have the same chance to succeed. And just because you have great facilities, don't think that means you're going to win. I tell people that don't forget that we went 19-0 at Texas Southern. So the building you play in has a chance to help you in terms of recruiting and developing a home court advantage. But you've got to be able to win everywhere. You don't play all your games at home. You got to play on the road too. But I look at the campus. I was walking from where I park, and I was walking down Cullen Boulevard, and I see this beautiful green grass where it used to look like Beirut. Just dirt, nothing. Grass didn't even connect, just patch here, patch there. And that's beautiful. You walk down Cullen and you see the trees that were planted and the grass that was planted. Our campus is improving. The people that went here, and I think about them a lot. I think about the people, the alumni, and what it looked like when they were here and what it looks like now. We're doing what we should do. And kudos to our administrators. We're getting better. Our campus is improving. We're in the Big 12. In some ways, we're Big 12 in the Big 12 conference, but we're not a Big 12 school yet. And that takes time. People shouldn't expect us to be the same as the other Big 12 schools right now, because we're an American Athletic Conference school 6 months removed. So for us, it'll take time, but everybody here has to get better, Joseph. We all have to get better, starting with the administrators. They have to get better. They've got to support us better. They got to resource us better. They got to give us a chance to succeed. And when you're interviewing for a job, whether it's the new football coach or a new basketball coach, that's what they want to see. And they want to see the truth. They don't want to hear a good game. They want to see a good game. That's important. Whoever's interviewing for this football job, I have no idea. I mean, I'm busy running a basketball program, so I don't have time to sit around and chew tobacco and drink a Coke and eat a pack of crackers and talk about who's coming here, who's going there. I'm not in that business, but I know that whoever is a new football coach, he's inheriting a much better job than what Dana did. And Dana has a lot to do with why this job is better. And we need to give Dana credit for that. He fought a lot of battles. Tom Herman, I remember I was the new guy and I'm the old guy. I tend to do that at places I go to, I guess. But Tom Herman had to fight a lot of battles. And he lost some battles and he won some, but he made this place better. He left us a better place than when he got here. And I know Dana fought a lot of battles. I know, and I know the battles he fought. He won some and he lost some. But just like Tom did, Dana left this place a better place. It's a better place than when he got here. And whoever this new coach is going to inherit the best situation that our program's has ever been in, as far as resources and facilities. We're getting there. We're not we're not a Big 12 school yet. As nice as you think these facilities are, they're not at the Big 12 level yet. But we're getting there. And our administrators are doing the best they can to put us in the best position to get there, and they should be lauded for that. But I know what these other schools look like. I know what they have. I know what they had 20 years ago, and I know what they have now. But we're getting there, and that's what we should focus on. We're getting there. We're getting better. From Tillman to President Couture, Chris, all the people that are in leadership positions, they have one job, is to make us better. And we're doing that. And I'm happy for the alumni that when they come back on campus, I love hearing from the alumni that had been here for 10 years. They say, I can't believe how nice this place looks. And I said, you're right. It is. We got a nice place. We got nice stuff. We're getting some good toys here. But our toys are we just got to keep it coming. We need to understand the importance of this NIL thing. I used to think that, you know, if you worked hard in recruiting and you did this, and, you know, I've always been a good recruiter. Kellen's always been a good recruiter. But in today's age, that's not good enough anymore. You got to understand the importance of the NIL thing. You know, I mean, it's just this. It's just the way it is. And everybody has to understand it. So when you're interviewing a coach for a job, a big part of that conversation has to be NIL. Just like I'm an old guy. I've been here. I don't think it's not important to me. You know, I'm not interviewing for a job, but it's just as important for me as it is to our women's basketball coach and our volleyball coach. Because as soon as the season's over, there's going to be schools trying to poach David's best players. And if he doesn't have the NIL resources, he's going to lose them. Then people's going to want to know, why aren't we winning? So it's a battle. We are in a war out here as far as not just, it used to be all bricks and mortar, but now it's the other stuff, the NIL, the transfer portal. So we just got to buy a few more Jeeps, a few more tanks, a few more rocket launchers. We got to keep them coming, man. But just remember, start dancing. Don't be looking down at your feet. Just start dancing.